Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Land Rover Defender 130 First Edition. First and foremost though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Defender 130 is a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 17 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 395 horsepower and then 406 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see that it's very, very white. We've got the Defender logo there, and then it's interesting that these are silver. Notice the daytime running lights here and the headlights with the 130. And you guys can see we've got some fog light action down below, parking sensors here on the front end. And just like the regular Defender, notice the front end sculpted for approach angle. And putting it all together, the 130 has a front end that looks, well, just like every other Defender, which I think is good. Now, coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 275, 45, 22 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see here with the wheel design 5-spoke, which I think actually looks really good. And I like how there's metallic flake there with the wheels. It makes them look more premium. Now notice that the fender flares are silver, and then all the trim along the side as well. It's kind of the theme, white and silver on this one. Notice again around the little Defender vent, but the mirrors are blacked out, and so is a lot of the trim around the windows, so it's kind of interesting, the contrast. Now here's your full side view on the 130, and this is where you can see the extra length with the 130, and I always make the joke that this is the Kim Kardashian Defender because it looks like the Defender got a butt job, basically. Now here's our key fob. We have our unlock function or lock function. This is for the lights, and then that is just to unlock the hatch, and then the Land Rover logo there on the back. And opening up the rear hatch thing is really easy. It's more of like a tailgate than a hatch. And look, there's the wife's Defender right there. But anyways, here on the back, you guys can see the cargo cover built in from the factory. And then underneath, you got this whole setup there. There's an okay amount of storage behind the third row. It's not massive, but you can also raise and lower the rear end to make it so it's easier to load stuff up into the back as well. Now, finishing things up with the rear end, it has a normal Defender rear end with the taillights, which I'm actually a huge fan of. And then you guys can see the recovery hooks here at the bottom, and of course the spare tire carrier. And this one has the cool painted one, which I think looks fantastic. But regardless, let me know what you guys think about the 130 with the styling, especially with this first edition package. Now taking a look at the door panel, there's quite a bit happening. You've got the gray with the white paint, and then you've got the cream. It's quite a bit, but obviously you got the Defender's utilitarian design here with the panel, which is pretty cool. And then here are the seats. You guys can see full leather here, perforated all down the center. Now first off, getting into the third row is very difficult. There's not a lot of space. Legroom in here, not necessarily the greatest, but you could fit kids back here pretty easily. I do like the fact that we have heated seats here in the back, and then you guys can see you've got the leather trim here, and then look at the seats here in the back. They're just as nice as the second row seats, and you have a sunroof back here as well, which kind of adds to the flair, but you lose the Alpine lights here in the 130. Now legroom here in the rear is actually really solid. You guys can see the little storage pocket right there, and then we've got the vents here in the center. We've got heated and ventilated seats, by the way, as well as our own climate zone, and then headroom back here is also really good. Now with the front door panel, you guys can see again the gray with the white and the cream. We've got all of our window controls right here with our mirror adjustments, memory seat function, and then you guys can see speakers for the Meridian sound system, and then we also have blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Now with the front seats, again, perforated all down the center. We've got all of our power adjustments, and I don't know if I'd get this seat color because you guys can see the wear here already on the seat. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, really cool design, again, utilitarian appearance as the Defender is known for. Notice your heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel. We've got adaptive cruise control controls for the center stack, voice command controls, and then your regular stocks here on the back. Now with the center screen, full digital gauge cluster, and you guys can see that I can scroll through, see different bits of info on the car. I can also change like what the display looks like as well. So for example, if I go to display layout, I can change it to one dial if I want. So it's pretty cool, the customization. Now in reverse, we do have a 360 camera system. You guys can see we also have the backup camera with trajectory lines, and it does fill in underneath the Defender as you move, which is another cool trick of the camera system. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, this is Land Rover's larger infotainment system. So basically it has all the same functions as a smaller one, it's just in a larger format, essentially. Notice it does come with Apple CarPlay, which is great. And then if you go to like the seats tab, this is where you can control. It says seat heat, but it has heated and ventilated seats, if you guys are wondering. But overall, great infotainment system. I do love the trim here on the dash. Then you got like that for the grab handle area, which is kind of funny. And then notice the storage space there. And then this leads us into this control area. So first off, got the shifter. We have our multi-control climate controls. So this is where I can do like the seat controls, for example, by pushing it in, and then you press this for fan speed. Then you press this for drive modes. Just like the regular Defender, this has all of your on-road drive modes and off-road drive modes, mostly off-road drive modes. There's no sport mode though with this. You have to get the V8, but you can't get the V8 in this. Anyways, the last thing I want to mention is you can adjust the air suspension right there manually if you want. You also have hill descent control, and this has low range on top of that. And then notice the charging ports, and look at this whole center console area with all the wood trim, the cup holders, and then look at the lid. This one does have the refrigerator, if you guys are wondering. Wireless phone charging pad. And then look at the glove box. And then up top, you guys can see we've got the rear view camera mirror, and then this has a full panoramic sunroof. So here's our window sticker for this 131st edition. You guys can see that it's pretty much everything comes as standard. This does have some options added to it though. And here's your total MSRP on this one, just under $93,000. Let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. You guys can see visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Setting off in the Defender 130. And I've got mixed feelings about this vehicle, to be completely honest. So if you guys follow the channel, you know that I currently own a Defender. I own 2023 110. That one's got all the cool off-road stuff, and I will do a comparison between my 110 and this 130 because they're actually pretty much the same price. Like my 110, after the satin paint protection film you can get from the factory and the Explorer pack, about $90,000, and this is like just under $93,000. So like if you're gonna spend about $90,000 on a Defender, right? I guess should you go for the off-road kit or should you go for this? I'll try to get a video to answer that. But regardless, with the 130, we'll start with the acceleration. It's good. It does feel slower than the 110 though, I will say that. Again, it makes sense. It's a slightly larger vehicle, heavier, so it makes sense. And I think makes it really strange as to why Land Rover isn't offering this with the V8. My guess, just my guess, that 5.0 V8's being phased out, and so I don't think that they wanted to like do all the testing, everything for the 5.0 V8 in this car, because they're going to get rid of it soon, and they're going to replace it with the 4.4 that they're currently sourcing from BMW, something like that. Or maybe they'll just put the plug-in hybrid with this. Who knows? We'll see. But regardless, this would be much better with a V8. That being said, though, the power is adequate. Now some other stuff, this still drives like a Defender, but I will say the one thing that's a little bit disappointing is this is a larger vehicle than the 110. Like the 110 rides really well for how small of a vehicle that is, like the size category it's in. Whereas this, when you compare it to vehicles that are similar size, it's not like it falls short, but like it's not as good as it doesn't like stand out like the Defender 110 or the Defender 90, for example. So I think that the 110 is as big as it makes sense in terms of getting like the best ride quality. Hopefully that makes sense. But aside from that, it has all the Defender stuff, which I really like. I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about this 3-row Defender. I feel like this kind of was, I wouldn't say it's like an afterthought, but it's almost like Land Rover released a new Defender and they're like, oh crap, this thing's popular. And then they're like, how can we sell even more Defenders? Let's make a 3-row version. It seems like that's kind of what happened. It doesn't seem like this was the intention from the start. I think the intention from the start was to release a new Defender, see how it did, and then they realized it's super popular because it's an amazing vehicle. But regardless, if you want a 3-row SUV that looks like a Defender, that's what this does. It's much better than a 110 with a 3rd row, right? Because this actually has more space because it's a longer vehicle. But I don't know. If I was going to get a Land Rover with a 3rd row, I think I'd go for the full size over this, honestly. Just the ride quality that provides and the space and everything, I just think that's the route to go. This is obviously much more affordable than a full size, so there's that aspect. But yeah, I don't know. I think Defender's best had, like this is why I bought a 110. I think it's best had in the 110 because you've got good storage space. It looks really good. It's still capable off-road. It's still got good angles and everything. And you can get with a V8 if you want it. So let me know what you guys think about the 130. I think they did a good job on this, but I think they did a great job on the 90 and on the 110 and on the 3-row full size.